Come on, computer. There we are. We are live. What about a technical challenge in Gremlins today? But welcome to It's Time to Excel. And I am so blessed and honored to have my friend Daniel Talley, also known as the Note to Self guy, joining us today because it's just craziness. And I honestly could have come to a point today where I just gave up because every technical thing I was trying to do was failing today.
Mhm.
And that's okay. That's okay because it's still our time to excel. And we can still excel in spite of the chaos and in spite of those.
That's right.
So this fits right into today. So, Daniel, I think you jinxed me before we got
I may have. I may have.
you have rubbed off. So, but welcome. Why did you get? I mean, we've got a chance to know each other over the last few years and just had some networking opportunities. And what's been really cool is the book that the Note to Self guy here, has written was sharing a lot of these proverbs and these insights that have been given to you, and they just make us think. And that's
Mhm,
what we're here today to, is to help you to think. And
mhm,
how
mhm,
can we do things a little differently? Because we all want to excel, but sometimes it takes a little bit of support from others. And
mhm,
I was
mhm.
grateful for that as well. So, Daniel, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, first of all, Janet, thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it, and I sincerely hope that our time spent today will be a blessing to
Oh,
somebody out there that is watching us, either live or on the replay.
absolutely.
So, again, I am Daniel Talley. I'm known as the Note to Self guy, but we can talk about that a little bit later as to why they call me that. Um, Let me first off say that I enlisted in God's Army in October of 1988. So that is code for I am a Christian. That's what that means, right? I am a follower of Christ. Outside of that, I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. I've been married to the same woman for 24 years. I have two knucklehead kids, both of which are in college. Um, I am a veteran of the United States Air Force. I am an entrepreneur. I own a small commercial cleaning company that's called Genesis Cleaning Services. And I'm a best-selling, and award-winning author of the book Note to Self. Shameless plug. Right there's the book right there. Note to Self: A Faithful Inspiration and Aspiration. And I am also a Christian YouTuber, where I basically take everyday problems and I apply scripture to them in a non-preachy kind of way to show the world that, you know what, life is hard and we got problems out here, but there are answers in the Bible for us to solve these problems. And I show people in a real practical sense how they can get everyday problem solved. And
In
I
a very
just,
amusing way too, because
and
some days
right,
it's not you.
no, it's
There's
not.
all kind of personalities that show
That's
up
right.
on
And
that
sometimes,
YouTube.
and sometimes, Jenna, you'll even see me wearing a dress. Sometimes, I mean, all
Ah,
kinds of
yes,
crazy
I
stuff.
have.
So
I
check
can
it out.
vouch for that.
The Note to Self got on YouTube. Check me out. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know today we're really good. It's amazing. It's a great opportunity. I do encourage folks that are listening either now or also on the replay to check it out. It's a glimmer of hope in
Hmm.
sometimes what appears to be pure chaos. And
Hmm.
that is, if nothing else, 98% of the time, you're going to get a smile on your face. You may not like everything, but you're going to have a
Yeah.
smile on your face at some point because you're going to
Yeah.
pull something, or even the outfits, or even just the characters.
Something.
Something's going to at least spark something in there. And that's what this whole thing is about, is
Yeah.
igniting and inspiring those possibilities. And
Hmm.
there's so
Hmm.
many possibilities that are all throughout the Bible and are out there in all types of different situations. And we're going to focus a little bit on the toxic situations that
Okay.
are around each and every one of us.
That's
So
right.
there's a
That's right.
specific proverb that you have on that. So why don't you share a little bit more about that?
I do. First of all, before I share the proverb, let me preface it by saying this: communication is key. Anybody out there that's married? I know I'm married, Janet. I know that you are, and
Yep,
I'm sure a lot of people out here who are listening to us are married. Communication is key in that. If you are
absolutely.
a parent, if you are a parent, then Lord knows if those knucklehead kids of yours are listening to you. That is key, right? Um,
Absolutely.
any kind of relationship that you may have, communication is key, and certainly in the business realm, the communication that you have with your employees and also with your customers is also very key. But listen, if I'm being honest with you, sometimes people can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. They really can. I mean, they can get on your last nerve when you want to when you want to reach to that phone and just get with somebody and send them to the boneyard early, right? So one of the poor man's proverb is called, and again, it comes directly from my book. It's called, it says, your approach to a toxic situation makes all the difference in the world. Your approach to a toxic situation makes all the difference in the world. Now, what am I talking about here? First of all, let me say this. Did you know that stress can kill you? There's a whole bunch of people that are in the boneyard right now today that if they can reach out and talk to you, they say, hey, you know what? I'm here because stress put me up in here, right? So when you are presented with a stressful situation, at least from my standpoint, the first thing I say to myself is that, look, I tell myself, whomever it is that whoever it is that I am talking to, you're not going to stress me out. You are not going to put me in the boneyard. As a matter of fact, as a guy who is a senior citizen now, right? I got high blood pressure. So, buddy, ma'am, sir, you are not going to raise my blood pressure any higher than what it has to be. So that is the first thing. But the question then becomes, well, what are the practical things that you can do to keep a toxic situation from going bad? Because if I'm being honest, with a toxic situation, you basically got two outcomes. You have an explosion, of huge proportions, or you may have just a little firecracker, right? So you would prefer to have the little small firecracker. So what can you do? Well, I draw in from I think about some of the things I learned from the scripture. One of them is Proverbs 15:1, which says that a soft answer turns away wrath. That just basically means that just because somebody is yelling at you, the best way to diffuse the situation is to remain calm. That's going to keep that blood pressure low. That's going to keep me from getting stressed out because again, I already got high blood pressure, y'all, right? So that is the first thing. And then I remember the fruits of the Spirit, which for those of you that are keeping score, that is Galatians 5, verses 22 through 23. And these fruits of the Spirit, people, really, they're weapons, but they are weapons used for good. And what are they? And they are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. Now, these are things that you can use with the aid of the Holy Spirit to keep that toxic situation contained, right? So I mention these things by saying that before you respond to a person, it's best thing to do is to try to remain calm, take 2 or 3 deep breaths if you need to, and then you say to yourself, self, now I got these 9 weapons over here: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Which one of them? And for some folks, how many of them do I need to use on this person to keep me from kicking their behind, right? So what you do is that you think about these things, and you try to craft a response to their situation that will encompass one or all of these things. Because if you do that, what you're doing is that you are essentially showing the godliness in you to help to diffuse the situation. Because everybody out there, we're at different points with our relationship with God. We're basically all over the place. But what I'm saying is that we can use these things that the Bible has instructed us to do to be able to help us to remedy a rather toxic situation. Now, as a person who used to work in the human resources field, I've learned that how we handle situations it truly does make all of the difference in the world, even as a employer, right? Again,
right. Or even a small business owner. I
right.
mean, when we're responding to clients every single day, and you kind of tweaked your thing, and I'm like, how we respond to our clients makes all the difference.
Yes, it does.
It makes all the difference.
It really does, because at the end of the day, even though some of your clients, I know most people probably love most of their clients, but some of them are a little bit, they can work that last nerve. Yes, they are. But because they are clients, you want to keep them, you need them, because obviously they are helping you to pay your mortgage and your car and all that kind of stuff. So you need to kind of keep them around. But so the old notion of the old notion that the customer is always right. Well, this will help you to sort of help to package that in a way so that they will remain customers. Because like I said, how you respond to a person sometimes you can get them to see that, maybe I was a little bit harsh, or maybe you get them to see that, what, yeah, this didn't exactly work out the way that I hoped that it would, but at least the business owner is I can see that they're trying to work this thing out. And I think most people are rational if they see that you have accepted responsibility for something that maybe didn't exactly work out the way that you wanted to, and they see that you accept the responsibility and you're respectful to them, even though they may not necessarily always be respectful to you, then the chances of you retaining them as a customer is pretty good. Because if you give them what they give you, then nobody wins. They walk away mad and they take their business someplace else. So.
And that's true. And a lot of times it's our responses that will diffuse that situation.
Yep.
And they're frustrated. There's a reason that we're helping them in the first place. They're frustrated. So there's some stress already there. And I think if we can kind of take into that and not allow that stress to infect us, and respond back in a manner that's calm, in a manner that, okay, let's take a step back. Let's see how we can figure this out. Are you willing to work with me? If I invite you to work with me, it's easier for us both to excel.
That is exactly right. And when you employ these methods here, people tend to like you more. And it is a proven fact that people do business with people that they like, or people like to work with people they like. I mean, take for example, I know that when I was in the corporate America world, my phone might ring, and oftentimes it was a fellow employee. Now, if it was somebody that I liked, I had to break my neck to pick up the phone. But it was, oh man, here, I cannot believe this is Joe calling me again. Somebody that you don't really like. You're not really that enthusiastic about picking up that phone. You know what I mean? Yeah. So again, by the way you respond to people, people tend to like to do business with people that they like. So it helps to make you really a better person or a more likable person.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. If you're going to have business, you got to build relationships.
Yes.
And it's really hard to build a relationship where somebody doesn't appear to want to be involved and doesn't appear to want to work with me. And even though they do, I'm just frustrated and spazzed out. So I'm targeting that and I'm approaching it that way, but that's not truly we have to get under in essence.
That's right. And not only that, sometimes you can take a toxic situation, and based upon the way that you handle the situation, you can turn that person who was coming at you at a really, really bad, in a really, really bad way, you can turn that person into a fan. I mean, they can really get to the point that, you know what, I came in there, I was yelling and screaming, and this person they did nothing but treat me kind. And in fact, they actually helped me out. And that person could be the biggest advocate for you and your business. And I mean, I've seen it happen where, people that they did not expect to get business referred to them from that person, they've gone out and they have told, hey, I had a problem. They resolved my problem. Hey, this is the kind of person that you should do business with. But if you show somebody your rear end, you have no chance of ever, one, they will probably leave you as a customer. And then two, people tend to, when they have a bad experience, they tend to go out and tell a lot more people about that bad experience than they do the good experience. And somebody has done some studies on that. I think it's like 10 to 1 or something like that. You know what I mean? So
something like that, yeah.
Crazy. So really, we really help. You help the customer. You help to maintain a business relationship. Keep you from getting stressed out. And again, if you got high blood pressure like me, you don't need to be popping no extra pills because you're dealing with some crazy person out there, right? So, so it's a win-win for everybody, and it's something that we should try to do. And quite frankly, this is something that we can all learn to do. It's not. I mean, I know that
learn reaction.
It is, and these tools can be used pretty much for anything. You know what I mean? Even if you a person who suffers from road rage, and there's a bunch of people out there that will run your behind over just because you took more than a second to proceed through the green light when the light just turned green. You know what I mean? So exercising patience. I mean, there are a lot of things that we can do to sort of help to minimize our stress level and to make our everyday lives a lot more livable.
Yeah,
to be
whether it's
honest.
business and personal, all of this goes. I have a strong-willed kid that some days it's a challenge and a half. We've talked about kids
Oh yeah,
before.
yeah, yeah,
They have
yeah.
a lot of similar traits that we
Hmm.
deal with.
For sure, for sure, for sure, for sure.
And, I learned very quickly early on, and I was grateful that my eyes were open because when you're
Hmm.
dealing with strong-willed kids, it's a different, the minute you get reactive, they're worse.
Yes,
But the
yes.
minute that if I could stay calm, even though I had every right to be angry,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
it's a lot. One, it's harder. I always get yelled at. It's hard. They don't like arguing with me. I'm like, because I don't
Hmm.
argue. There is
That's
no
right.
argument.
That's right.
And
That's
now
right.
there are days that I've broken that, but most days that it's going back to this. It's my reaction too. So if spazzing out and flipping out, just like you with clients, I'm like, okay, what would I do if this was my kid's situation? How are we
Hmm.
dealing with this?
That's
And a
right.
lot of times, if I can just take that step back, breathe, and
That's right.
not strangle, or
That's right. That's right.
then we can take a step back and say, okay, here's the problem. What are we
Hmm.
going to do about it?
Hmm. Hmm.
There's obviously a problem. And back
Well,
to that key communication.
exactly. And, people don't realize it, but we have more control over a situation than we think. Now, we cannot control what comes out of somebody else's mouth,
Nope.
but we can control what comes out of ours. And what comes out of ours can either do one or two things. Either it can throw gasoline on a flame that's already raging, or it can throw water on that
Yeah.
flame to help to douse it out. But it's really up to us, and I just figure out, Janet, I'm learning that the key to life is a simple. So
Yep.
anything that stresses you out, you got to get rid of it. I mean, seriously, you know what I mean? So whatever we can do to eliminate that stress in the long run, we're going to be so much better off. So much better off.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because nobody wants to be this stressed out because you don't enjoy life. You
No.
don't even get see your family suffer, you're arguing, your business suffers, your clients, you don't get to be who you truly are, and you can't help as many people as you've been called to do
That's exactly
if
right.
you're not able to kind of get through that. Because when I'm stressed, it's hard for me to deal with a lot of stuff. So when
Hmm.
everything's coming at me, I can't serve my clients, I can't serve my family, I can't even serve myself well at times
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
you're stressed out because and you can't always control all of that. And all I can do is take that step back and keep going and going and going until everything eventually is going to work its way out one way or another.
That is exactly right. That is exactly right.
And
Exactly
how
right.
we do that is, I choose to, try to make the best of the situation.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is definitely a choice. And there, I knew he'd come up. He is apparently had enough. There's Mr. Bear. He's going to come up and say hi.
Mr.
And
Bear.
he loves Zoom calls. He just absolutely loves these things. And I've just given up trying to fight him. I try, but
I,
then he sneaks up and he's a big boy.
I see. And he wants to be in town.
He wants to be a lap dog. He has no clue that 86 pounds does not fit on my lap, but that's okay. He's going to go there anyway.
Hmm.
But it goes right back to that. I can get flipped out, I can get spazzed out, or I can just get him back down. And is it worth a dog bite? Not really.
Not really. Not really. You're right. You're right. You're right about
Not really. And when you think about that, like as we're dealing with our clients and stuff, now there are times where you have to put some boundaries in place. I don't think you're saying anything about that. There are times where there has to be some boundaries put through.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
And that's okay. But as long as you've done them, and I always say I need to be able to look myself in the eye. So I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to make my fair share of mistakes.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
going to get overwhelmed and I'm going to have things slide through the cracks. I'm human.
Yeah. Yeah. We all are, for
So
sure.
all I can do is say, I've made this mistake. Here's what I'm going to do to make it better. I'm going to do
Hmm.
my best. Work with me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And most people will because we're all in this situation, especially small business owners. We're
Oh yeah.
juggling too many hats.
Yeah, we are. We are. It's challenging, but like I said, life is hard. I mean, it just is. But we can do some things to make it a little bit easier on ourselves, and trying to keep calm. As a matter of fact, on my little YouTube channel, there are 3 episodes that I created that kind of coincide with what we're talking about today.
Okay.
And I will mention them in case anybody wants to go and specifically look at
Check them
those.
out.
Again, the channel is called The Note to Self Guy on YouTube, and they are called How to Control Your Mouth When You're Angry. How to Control Your Mouth When You're Angry. The other one is called How to Deal with Nasty Customers. Because again, so some customers out there they're not very nice. And the other one is called How to Deal with a Difficult Supervisor. So in other words, if you got a pain in the butt boss, many of us have had those. How do you deal with people like that? You know what I mean? So if you know, for your listening audience, if you have the time to go check those things out, I think you will find a whole lot of value in those. And you know, you'll to Janet's point, you'll see me dressed up in a couple of different outfits.
One never knows what personality is going to show up each day.
That's right. And I think it came from the fact that I was dropped on my head when I was about 2 years old. So I haven't quite gotten over that, Janet. I think that's
well, that's all right. We love you anyway, and it's all good because you know I always can count on a smile when we get together and have an opportunity to share and some days commiserate.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's just part of it. And it's kind of like having the tools in a tool belt. What I teach is all about, you know, getting your finances under control, and you want to have the right tools in place.
That's right.
And too often our folks, we don't use those tools to their fullest potential. And I talk about that a lot, especially with the QuickBooks. Folks are using it, but they're not using it for the fullest potential because they don't know what they don't know. They don't even realize it's going to do this.
That's right.
And I think exactly what we're talking about here. You've got tools in your tool belt that you may not even realize you had.
That's right. That's right.
And that's what we want you guys to do. And we want to excel, but we can't do that if we don't use the tools that are at our hands. And so that's why I'm so grateful.
Well, just as a little analogy to that, now most people know who Batman is, right? And we all know that Batman has a utility belt. Now, what do you suppose would happen if he didn't realize the tools he had in his utility belt? Because from what I see, that dude got everything in that utility belt. But not only does he have everything in that utility belt, but he also knows what's in there. So it wouldn't do us any good to have this belt around us that has all this wonderful stuff in it, and we don't even take the time to figure out what it is that this stuff does. So to your point, use the tools that you got.
And I'm kind of jotting some things in. We'll see if I can type while I'm talking. Some days that actually works. I've been trying to kind of put some notes, and I do try to do that as we're going. Some days it works, other days I forget to do it. It's okay. It depends on where we're going. But this has been a great opportunity, and hopefully it's going to help some folks to excel in whatever they're dealing with, especially when it comes to their business. Because as you know, as entrepreneurs, there's so many hats that you're juggling. There are just so much chaos that's all around, and somehow you got to manage that. And if you're not stressed and flipped out, it's a lot easier.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's right. Now, if you don't object, Janet, I have a few more poor man's proverbs that are related to this, that comes from the book that somebody may find some value in. And again, just so you all know, these poor man's proverbs that are in this book, they are designed to make you. They're basically, the book is it's a book about life, but more specifically at its core, it is designed to make you think about your relationship with God. It helps you to think, because at the end of the day, you've been living with yourself all your life. You know what you've done and you know what you have not done. So the best judge of you is you, right? So again, I'm going to mention 3 poor man's proverbs here that are related to what we're talking about. And this is something that the listening audience can take away with it and, you know, maybe ponder on as the day goes on. But one of them is if you feel your anger, if you feel your anger must be the 800-pound gorilla in the room, leave the room. Note to self, gotta go. So in other words, if you feel yourself getting that angry, that upset, instead of you lashing out at somebody, sometimes the best option is just to get up and walk out the door. And that way you avoid any potential chaos. Because once that gorilla is unleashed, hey, an 800-pound gorilla can do some damage, right? So once that gorilla is unleashed, that's exactly right. So you want to make sure you just get on up out of there. That way you can save yourself a whole lot of headache. Another one is anger is dynamite with a short-lit fuse. Calmness is the water that puts out the fuse. We talked about earlier about how important it is to remain calm. Because again, when you remain calm, you help to prevent things. It keeps you from having stuff come out of your mouth that you can't take back. Because once it comes out of there, it's not like you can take it back. It's out there for the world to see. All right.
Sure.
And the third one is it has to do with, you know, business owners or just people in general. being more successful. And it is basically a wise man knows his boundaries, yet still strives for greater heights. Note to self, you can be such a wise man. So just because you know you may be limited to certain things, don't mean you have to stay within that box. Hey, handle what's inside that box, but try to go a little bit beyond that. Because oftentimes, we've heard the statement, you aim for the stars and maybe you hit the moon. Well, it's the same thing here. You are what people don't realize is that when God created us, He put a whole lot of stuff in us that we don't even know that's even in there. So unless you challenge yourself, you'll never really know what you can do. There are people out there sitting on $1 million businesses right now, and they're just sitting on it because they don't have the confidence in themselves to know that they can do it. And all they have to do is just get out there and just work at it. And the thing is, as long as you have, if you keep having little, small, minute pieces of success, it's like a chain. It just builds itself, and before you know it, you're rolling, and you're like, man, I cannot believe this business is doing so well. So right. It's all up to you. So don't for anyone that's out here listening, don't limit yourself. Hey, people every day. You take somebody like Colonel Sanders. Now this dude was like 65 years old before he finally came up with that finger looking good chicken. I mean, he had that recipe for years, but he couldn't do anything with it until he was like 60-something years old. And then, hey, he spent the rest of his life, the remainder of it, as a millionaire. And of course, we still know him.
And I was saying, we're still
and we'll still eat that man's chicken. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So anyway, I just want to say to people, don't be discouraged. God put a whole bunch in you, and you don't really know the power that you have. So get out there and be the best you that you can be.
Absolutely. Cannot say it any better whatsoever. You guys have it. I did drop in the chat. Make sure that you check out Note to Self by Daniel Talley. Great book to read. Makes a great gift too, because I've done that as well. Because we have to be thinking. And when we're thinking, we're always striving to do better. And sometimes it takes a little bit of a bump over the head.
Sometimes it does.
And by thinking that through, it's amazing how you can step forward, but you can't stretch those boundaries unless you're willing to.
That's exactly right.
I absolutely agree with you, and I encourage you guys listening here live, listening over on the replay, please take the opportunity to see how you can stretch beyond your boundaries and excel, because there's so many possibilities that are ignited. What are you going to do with them?
That's right.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for joining us. I mean, that went really quick. Half an hour went really quick.
And it really did. And in case anyone's interested in where they can buy the book, they can go to my website, www.thenote-to-self-guide.com. And the 2 is the number 2, not TO. It's www.note-2-selfguide.com.
I'm glad you said that, because I was automatically typing and putting 2, and I know better. But I still did it. I mean, it's amazing how the brain works. So I've got www.thenote-to-selfguide.com. I put the website in the chat, so folks feel free to go ahead and click on that and have that opportunity. As I said, it's a great book. It's an easy read. You can pick up, just get a couple nuggets and get started for your day. And what all is ignited and in front of you, because the possibilities are endless if you're willing to take that step.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, and looking forward to some other proverbs that I can get me moving forward on some of these crazy days that I don't have any control over.
No problem.
I'll have to teach Bear. Maybe we'll teach him how to start talking.
There you go.
And go from there. Instead of Gizzy asking about different fairy tale pigs, I did a presentation, and I had Gizzy with a little bubble coming out. What do fairy tale pigs have to teach about business?
That's right.
That was kind of a fun little conversation. So maybe I'll have to share that one of these days and go from there. But thank you so much for sharing these words of wisdom and these little nuggets for our folks. And we just encourage you, because it's definitely your time to excel and inspire and ignite the possibilities that are all around. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Oh, I just wanted to thank you, Janet, for what you're doing, for your listening audience, because oftentimes, people need pep talks. And I think each one of these sessions that you do with various guests, that's essentially what that is. That is a pep talk. And sometimes, we never know it might be something that somebody sees on your show that is what they need to be able to get them to take that extra step so that they can excel. So thank you for what you're doing,
Absolutely.
and I'm sure there's someone out there. Even if they haven't told you yet, I must say appreciate what you're doing. I'm sure at some point it will be very evident.
I appreciate that. And thank you so much again. And we look forward to everyone just continuing on this journey. Come back here again. Of course, next week we are here 11:30 live on every Wednesday. And of course, the second Wednesday is always the Lunch and Learn. So next month's Lunch and Learn is coming up in a couple of weeks. And we're going to talk about Zoho CRM, which is a way to keep all those lovely sticky notes about your clients and customers in one database and do it for a simple way. So that's kind of the target for us the next couple of weeks. But in the meantime, make sure you come check us out and see what other little nuggets are coming to help you to excel. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.